There is nothing wrong with your internet. Do not attempt to adjust your settings. We are controlling the podcast. We control the squealing and the screams. We can make your heart flutter, your eyes blur from tears, or sharpen your mind to crystal clarity. For the next hour, sit back. We are in control of what you hear. We repeat, there is nothing wrong with your settings. You are about to experience the awe and mystery known as the female mind. You are now entering the Fangirl Zone.
We continue exploring, discovering new worlds, new civilizations. Welcome to the Captain's Chair, a podcast on all shows in the Star Trek universe on the Fangirl Zone. I'm Richard Dave, and joining me on this Into the Unknown is...
I'm Chief Engineer Steve, and today we'll be discussing Episode 8 of Season 3 of Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah, so what'd you think, Steve?
I enjoyed the episode. It sure kind of felt like it was more of a Lower Decks episode with so much going on.
Yeah, you know,
frantic.
Yeah, oh yeah, frenetic. Yeah, I thought they turned down the scope a little. I mean, it wasn't galaxy wide or anything like that, but it wasn't a bottle episode either because they didn't skimp on special effects at all.
No. Yeah, and we had too much going on. We had the book issue and Giorgio issue and discovering more about the burn. It was just like, holy cow.
Yeah. It even though they managed to touch on all those things, at least it wasn't so broad that we just couldn't keep up with things. And I think that's a credit to Frakes.
True. Very true. All right. Shall we get into Episode 8?
Why not?
The Sanctuary. Burnham and the USS Discovery crew travel to Book's home planet to help rescue it from Osira, former leader of the Emerald Chain. Meanwhile, Stamets and Adira continue their search for valuable information on the origin of the burn. And that don't count Giorgio.
Yeah. Yep, we open as Giorgio talks with Culber, and it's assumed that she's seeing the medical officer talk about the flashes of Terran memories she's been experiencing the past couple episodes. Yeah, I'm glad. I when I first saw that, I'm like, that's where we're going to open? Okay.
Yeah, of all places.
Yeah, we need some answers anyway. We didn't get too much in the last episode. Even though she ends up in the med bay, she's not the best patient.
No.
She goes for help, and then she won't allow anyone to get close.
Or give any information.
I know. I'm just here to humor you, Doctor. Human. She always has to maintain that position of power.
Absolutely.
Fortunately, Culber's able to dish it right back to her, though. It's tough playing that verbal fencing with her.
Oh, yeah. And Culber did it amazingly well.
She doesn't go to NICU. She goes right for the heart.
Yes. Talking to children.
Yeah, I know. Directing her to an autonomic stand while warning her that without intervention, her brain could deteriorate past the point of no return. I don't think that's what she wants. You're not going to get much witty repartee if your brain goes.
Right. You can't be the BA that you are.
I know. Meanwhile, Book seeks out Michael to share some urgent news. I got a kick out of that because he's running down the hallways.
Yeah.
There's easier ways to finding her. It's a good thing you ran into her. You're in the 32nd century.
Probably doesn't have a comm badge.
No, I don't think he does. I think he will.
Yep.
Turns out his brother sent him a message from the whole planet Equation, and it's under threat from the Emerald Chain. Can't get away from those guys. As Book explains further in Vance's office, environmental changes followed the burn, caused the planet's sea locusts to take to land and destroy their food supply. The chain offered a repellent in exchange for access to the transworms, and it seems they want something more. Man, they're tough. Not only the transworms being threatened, but they also threaten the threat.
Yeah.
Despite Vance's reservations, Michael and Captain Saru, who's doing pretty good as a captain, are able to get Discovery to go on the mission under a more diplomatic banner.
Yeah.
That was quick thinking, too.
Yes, it was.
I think they're gonna get along well. We'll see how far they can push Vance.
Yeah.
We soon seen diplomacy will not work with the chain as we finally meet its leader, Osira. She didn't seem as intimidating as I hoped.
Right.
I mean, yeah, she's the big bad, but I know Philippa would fricassee her in a half a second.
Oh, yeah. There's no doubt about that. Yeah, you
want to melt. Yeah, you want to melt somebody with a look. Just get it from her.
Yes, that was.
Osira's like, yeah. I'm green, deal with it.
Yeah.
Oh, and she confronts her nephew Toller about the prison break that happened on Hunhao, with a particular fixation on the Endora escapee Rin. True to her reputation, Osira proves herself to be merciless. As punishment for the slip-up, she arranges for Toller to be eaten by a transworm, just as she took out his father years ago. Okay, that was mean.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Transworm cells are pretty scummy.
Yeah. I wonder who she's going to give Hunhan to now.
She says to him, that's why I call them transworms. It's not going to bother you. And then it just eats them.
Yeah. And you hear him screaming. So
yeah,
the trans didn't work too well.
It is a boomer reference. It's kind of like the ending to Jaws, where Captain Quint, he's halfway down too, the opposite half from the shark. There's your homework, everyone. See Jaws if you haven't.
Yep. Back on board the Discovery, Saru and new First Officer Tilly are trying out new catchphrases as they walk into engineering. Wow.
Did you get that other thing?
Yeah. Did you get the feeling that Tilly was more of an executive assistant there in that scene than the first officer?
It's amazing how much he relies on her.
Yeah.
Oh, that other thing, a special project. Oh, your catchphrase?
Yes.
Yeah, she did come off a little bit like that, but she actually turned it badass later on.
Oh, yeah. Now there, Stamets and Adira present the data about the burn that they've acquired from Navarre. Origin of the event seems to be in the Verban Nebula, which is giving out an audio signal similar to the song we've heard in the previous episode. That's not surprising at all.
No, it isn't.
They also isolate the noise and discover a Federation distress signal in it. Now, I loved how they focused in on Saru, and you see his pupil just get big as hell, and then they cut to his ear, and
yeah,
you kind of figure, what the hell? What is Saru actually hearing in this?
It's good that they actually give these people their superpowers, things that distinguish them from the rest.
Right. Now, as Stamets convinces Adira to write an algorithm to decode it, they reveal in private their preferred pronoun. And that was a great scene where she tells him, I'd rather be called they and them instead of her.
Yeah.
And Stamets just goes, no problem.
Okay, come on, you guys. Let's go, everybody.
Yeah. Now, Book is nervous about going back home, namely because of his brother. Though not biological, the rift that developed between them still hurts when he started hunting transworms for the chain. He's not looking forward to showing his new beau what has become of his planet. Of course, nobody wants to bring their girlfriend to, unfortunately, it's not meeting the parents, but meeting family.
Yeah.
Now, when Discovery jumps to Quajan, Saru decides to beam the two of them down to inspect the situation while they deal with the incoming Osiris problem. Now, did you think it was weird that Burnham dressed just like she was a courier and they kind of matched with
yeah. At first I thought they looked like badass bathrobes.
Right.
And I think, then they're trying to wear the clothes of Quajan, I thought. But you think that's a courier thing? I guess she has to do something neutral. She can't go down there as Starfleet, I guess.
Yeah.
But she's instantly identified as Starfleet, so I don't know what the difference is.
No. Elsewhere, Adira is mournfully playing the cello when Stamets finds them.
Them.
Yeah. They reveal that deceased boyfriend and previous host Gray hasn't spoken with them recently, fearful he is hiding.
Yeah, what do you make of that? Any thoughts?
I'm kind of like Stamets. It's one of those things where he may just need some time to really get a grip on what's actually happened, just like Adira is. I mean, she's undergoing an identity crisis and not sure who they're going to wake up as every day. One's wrong and one's the other.
Yeah, why wouldn't Gray talk to her, though? Why is he hiding out?
Yeah, that's a good question, unless he's determined that she's going to have a life, too. Yeah. Because, a couple episodes, he was complaining that she wasn't, all she was doing was working, eating, and sleeping.
Right. Yeah. So he's jealous. Thanks a lot. Maybe. I thought, I stretched it out a little further. I thought they might have a collective intuition of what's going on in the galaxy, and they know more than they're letting on. They don't want to communicate that to her since they share thoughts anyway.
That's very possible that the Trill is definitely keeping important information from her.
Right.
I mean, you would have thought that as soon as they figured out that the sound emulating from the nebula was the song, that Senetal would pop in and say, yeah, that's where it came from. But
yeah.
We didn't hear that.
Nope. Strange.
Stamets tries to put her mind at ease with the duet. Who knew Paul knew how to play the piano?
Yeah, I thought they were going to fake that at first and not show what his hands were doing. But then they did. But it was just playing, some easy chords. So who knows?
Yeah. Now, Ren causes some discord as he storms into Saru's office, demanding he leave the ship and grumbling that the Federation favors often come with strings attached.
Yeah, that's when Tilly gets her badass moment. Hold on a second there.
Yeah.
Buddy. Take a step back. Try that again. You have to get stern. These guys are so friendly on Starship. Every once in a while, you have to show some authority.
Yep.
I wonder what his past experience is with the Federation, though. They're not around that much, so how could he feel betrayed?
I think most of it is just from his upbringing, as we hear later on in the in the episode, in that last scene with Tilly.
Maybe he feels betrayed because they can't help the way they want.
Right.
Yeah. So meanwhile, back on the planet, Quajon turns out to be a serene autumnal planet, much more natural than urban. It's nice. I like how Michael was really taken with it. I'm like, haven't you been to Earth?
Yeah.
This is nice too. I'm pretty sure. Even the pesky sea locusts have a bright turquoise glow. But the calm is interrupted when Book and Michael get captured by a group of people, including Brooke's brother, Kahim. They're taken back to his home, and you could cut the tension between the brothers with a batleth. Kahim accuses Book of leaving his planet and family behind, while Book chastises him for working with the chain. Man, the barbs go thick and heavy with all these people on this show.
Oh, yeah.
Kahim reveals that the reason behind his message, Osira knows Rin escaped with Book. And without him in her possession, she may destroy Quajon in retribution. That's right. I can't have my guys, so I'm going to blow up an entire planet.
Right. So basically, he sets his brother up.
Yeah, I know. Nice. In sickbay, Giorgio goes through a rare outfit change with her atomic scan, but as the scan goes along, things are far from routine. In the middle of it, she comes to on the verge of a cerebral hemorrhage and having emotional flashes from the mirror universe. And I was like, oh boy.
Yeah.
This is great. Show us more. Body even gets to be affected, although she's like being pulled from somewhere else. This is getting fascinating.
Yeah. I couldn't decide if it was her universe trying to pull her back or if it was she's programmable matter, because it kind of looked that way.
Yeah, that was weird. I figured that's what the gel was acting like that.
Right. That
added that certain dimensionality to her, and that wasn't really her, although maybe that's the gel reacted and it looked like that through her. I guess. I'm just, just thinking. I don't know. If she acted that way physically herself, but that would be pretty alarming.
Yes.
Her reveries literally break the scan, but she tries to recover by walking away and denying anything happened. That's typical.
Yeah.
Cyrus' ship arrives, and the Emerald Chain and Discovery leaders come face to hollow face. So Western. While Sue tries to keep a straight face through diplomatic protocols, not that he could change his face that much, the Orion shoots him down, talking about the hubris of the Federation. Again, what do they know? Maybe it's just that the Federation has high ideals and plans, but they just can't execute them.
Right. And it was a nice back and forth between those two, and the hubris of the Federation, and Saru tries to jab back at her with the Orions being slaves, and that didn't go over too well either.
No, I know. Truth hurts. She threatens them to give her Rin, or she will take out the planet. She next talks with Kahim, who is brooding after nearly coming to blows with Book. She points out that the sea locusts could destroy their food again without the chain's help. Despite all this, Kahim refuses to give up Book, and true to her word, she begins a carpet bombing of Quajon. Boom, boom, boom. I love those special effects.
Yeah. But it was really nice to see that they at least had some kind of defense system set up.
I know.
It was pretty slick because you can't find anybody inside it.
Yeah, I don't see too many people on that planet anyway.
No, we really did. We saw the few people that captured Book and Burnham, and that was about it.
Any other movie, you'd see pieces of buildings tumbling with scared citizens running to and fro.
Right. As the planet goes up in flames around them, Book and Michael scramble to maintain its defense systems. What doesn't help is Chahim, who intervenes to scrap it out with his brother. Yeah. And above Quajon, Tilly comes up with the plan to save the day. With knowledge of how to destroy, or at least with the knowledge of Osiris's ship's weaknesses, Wren takes off in Book's non-Starfleet ship alongside Detmer to stop her.
Yep. Good moment for Detmer.
Yes, a much needed moment for Detmer.
Yeah.
It's a big testing moment for the pilot who has seen her confidence shaken throughout this entire third season. But despite her reservations and S.H.I.E.L.D.'s only being at 10%, she literally takes control and does some incredible flying, piercing Osiris's defense and taking out all their weaponry.
Yeah. The weapons generator. Look, that's it on the outside of the ship over there.
Yes.
Maybe that's the access point? I'm thinking to myself at first, really?
Yeah.
The weapons generator is sticking out on the outside of the ship? That's not a good spot.
No. Discovery emerges victorious, but before leaving, Osira promises them the Federation will feel the full weight of the chain.
Yeah, way to go. What do you think Vance is going to say about that?
Yes.
You people.
Back on Quajon, Book challenges Chahim to kill him, but his brother just can't go through with it. So after Osira leaves, Chahim laments his situation, revealing he has a son. I love Burnham's reaction to that.
You have a son? I'm an uncle?
Yeah, while Book is reeling in surprise, Michael comes up with a plan to save the planet. With their combined empathic powers, as well as a little help from Discovery, they are able to encourage the sea locusts to go back to the water. Of course.
Of course.
The brothers finally see eye to eye, and Quajon is famine-free as a result. And we back on the ship. Detmer gloats about her badass maneuvers in the cafeteria, which was awesome. I love it. Owo says, "Oh, I'm going to have to put up with your macho for now."
Just for about a week.
Yeah. And Tilly sits down with Wren. Now, while he's grown up with rumors of a deceitful federation, he finds her trusting enough to tell her that the chain is running out of dilithium. And that's the reason he was so valuable to Osira, because he's the only one that knows that.
So why keep him alive? Seriously, though, I wonder if there's another reason.
I think she probably would have gotten rid of him if she had gotten her hands on him.
Well, he was a slave on the planet for Tolor.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
just get rid of him there. You need him to be a slave so she can watch videos of him for entertainment. Oh, look at him carrying that thing; it's too heavy. I just bump him off.
Right? Yeah, you would think with a secret that big, she would have gotten rid of him much sooner.
Yeah, we'll see. Unless there is another reason, something romantic, perhaps. Wow. There's a lot of romance floating around in this series,
I know, because here he is basically trying to start a revolution against her, and all she does is chop off his antennas.
Yeah,
really?
Yeah.
Because they go back. I mean,
that's like emasculating him, because that's the worst thing he could do to him,
right?
Perhaps.
Yeah, there's something going on there.
There is something going on there, I think. Meanwhile, Book and Michael give Chahim and his son a tour of the ship. The brothers jokingly banter before thanking each other for doing what they need to do for Quajon. In private, Book admits to Michael that the day has made him see the Federation in a new light, considering what it can do for the planets in need. And surprisingly, he wants in. So you know what that does? That diffuses the whole conflict about him being flying off to space and her going to have to rescue him. Of course, it does rob them of a few plots for rescue missions for every time Book gets himself in trouble. But that gets pretty old pretty fast.
Right.
As Michael walks off to fix his ship, he has a smile on her face telling how much she liked visiting his home. That was cute.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a
seriously though
grin that Burnham had as she's walking off.
Yeah. She has a great smile. Yeah, seriously though, that does remove that plot line and that friction.
Yep.
He's going to stay aboard and work from there. I don't know if he's going to fly in unison or just keep his ship in the the shuttle bay. I can't see that either. Can you? Why does he just fly along with them? I don't know. Yeah. One of these days they're gonna run into something like, hey buddy, we're gonna need that shuttle bay.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure what to expect from him because Burnham tells him he's got to go talk to Saru, and we'll see how that goes. I'm sure Saru's going to let him stay on board. I don't know if he's going to make him an officer or just a visitor.
Yeah, and I thought the same thing of Rin, whether he's going to be a recurring character now.
Right.
We haven't seen those two act with each other, though. They spent the entire episode apart, Rin and Book, that is.
Right, yeah. Not since Hunhan have we seen
Yeah.
them even speak to each other. So
Yeah.
it'll be
Weird.
interesting to see their first discussion on Discovery, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, I wonder if he has any more information, really, aside from the dilithium shortage. I mean, who doesn't have that anyway?
Right.
So, you want to get to some Easter eggs, boomer talk, and tinfoil hat theories?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So, you know what I noticed? The first thing, one of the funny things I've noticed since Steve and I do a show on The Mandalorian too, is some of the crossover that sometimes, maybe I'm reading too much between this show and Mando.
Right.
Like blue things flying around.
Yes.
I mean, they go to the Seeing Stone in the Mandalorian. Oops, well, that's not a spoiler. And they got blue butterflies flying around, and here they have the blue sea locusts. I'm like, huh.
Yeah.
And then there's the take on the cruisers. We got Osiris cruiser,
Right.
and we got Moff's cruiser heading into, they're both beating up planets or hovering over planets and shooting. Spoiler alert. Like, that's interesting. They're not big badass cruisers like we used to, like the Star Destroyers or even the Star cruisers that we saw on Star Wars. Those are really giant, but they're like light cruisers, if you want to use a naval term.
Right.
Interesting commonality between the two shows.
Right. Occurring in the same week. I mean,
I know. It's weird.
fascinating.
Fascinating. Maybe it's me. Anyway, here's a good Easter egg. A map in Vance's office showed the Klingon zone. What'd you think of that?
That was pretty sweet. Now, we haven't seen the Klingons yet, so.
Nope. Yeah, you and I have discussed it, like where are they? And we've seen a Romulan, and we pretty much know what they're up to now. But what are the Klingons up to?
Right.
They better be doing something.
Yeah. It doesn't seem like they're in a battle with the chain yet, so maybe they're kind of doing what Earth is doing and just saying, I'm protecting my own and screw the rest of you.
I hope they haven't been defanged.
Yeah, let's hope not.
Let's hope not.
I kind of doubt it.
Yeah, let's hope not. On the salvage planet, Osira held a Starfleet badge from the late 24th century like those seen in Star Trek Picard. Any thoughts on that?
We saw it on Hunhan, so.
Yeah. Osira's ship is
they picked a Picard type badge than something older, though.
Yeah. Osira's ship is named Viridian, which is a color that mixes green and blue, and an appropriate name for the flagship of the Orion Andorran Emerald Chain Alliance. Osira uses the Bajoran measurement of land area hectare? I thought it was hectare, but when threatening how much of the planet she will destroy, I'm going to destroy huge squares. Okay,
Yes.
thanks. Saru workshopped his catchphrase is reminiscent of Captain Freeman doing the same thing on Star Trek Lower Decks. He's working on a catchphrase to give orders in a cool way and having a rough time having Captain Pike say hit it was first introduced in Discovery Season 2's debut episode, Brother, but it should be noted that Pike said engage in the original series pilot The Cage. Captain Freeman faced a similar debacle Lower Decks earlier this year. The catchphrase candidates suggested or attempted to include execute. I wouldn't say execute.
No.
That'd have a double meaning. Hit it, which is possibly a different spin than Captain Pike. Manifest. Someone said manifest. I'd be handing him a clipboard. Here you go.
Yes.
Or carry on. And carry on's too soft, too. Carry on, that sounds a little flippant.
Yeah. So, yeah, Tilly needs to come up with something
work harder.
better than any of those.
I know. No wonder she's a temporary.
Yeah.
First, you have to get me a good catchphrase. Then you could be permanent.
Yeah.
So Discovery also first used a method of transmitting a signal to an entire species in the sound of thunder. In that case, it used to evolve all Kelpians through the Vahare. When Saru asks Adira to isolate aspects of the music in the nebula, they find a Federation distress signal. Of course they did.
Yeah.
The sound effect sounds a little bit like the computer alert from the Next Generation era, but the way in which they decipher the sound information is a little bit like the way Uhura and Spock break down the alien probe signal in Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home. Good reach back.
Yeah.
Speaking of audio Easter eggs, when Saru enters the bridge early in the episode, we hear the 3-note bosun's whistle. That's so familiar, I don't even notice it.
Yeah.
I just expected, like, duh, of course. This has origins in actual naval history, but for Trek fans, this sound is most famously associated with the original series. Like I said, I didn't even notice it after a while in the original series. I just expected it.
Right.
I suppose they
noticed it if you didn't hear it.
Exactly. When Detmer decides to go full manual control on Book ships, he suddenly has a couple of nifty joysticks. I thought, want to play a game?
Yeah.
Is that a boomer reference? But you guys have to figure that one out yourself.
Right.
This seems to be a reference to the manual steering column on the Enterprise from Star Trek Insurrection. In that film, Riker flew the Enterprise much the same way Detmer flies bookship here. I don't know why they don't do that more often. It's a lot more fun.
Yep.
And of course, guess who directed that movie and this episode? That's right, Jonathan Frakes. I think he's known for as a director for adding a certain amount of humanity to his direction too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I like what he brought out of Detmer.
Yes.
It turns out Book and his species aren't space wizards, but instead, as Burnham says, they are empaths. This is a wink to the original series episode, The Empath, but also to the most famous empath in Trek history, Deanna Troi. I wonder if we'll see her again. And lastly, Burnham also mentions that the Discovery will amplify the empathic signals of Book and Kahim, just as I did on Kaminar, the difference on this Discovery Season 2 episode, The Sound of Thunder. Why not? Easy solution, get it done. Yeah, it's like always. Hey, they're the Federation.
Yep. It was great to see when Detmer goes manual and Grudge jumps on Ren's lap. What is this?
That was awesome. That was awesome. What is this? Cat, as in a pet?
Yeah.
Then, of course, it just stays there. He's like holding on to it. I thought the thing would, like, Grudge would just jump off and run. But
Right.
instead, they're like bonding with each other in their sheer terror.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm working on a tinfoil hat theory for this episode and trying to figure out what the signal is coming from the middle of that nebula.
Right.
Yeah, the first thing I thought is that the Red Angel suit, for some reason, it got interdimensional or stuck. Then I thought, if it's a ship, and they're assuming it's a ship,
Right.
because it's a Federation signal, how do you know it's just not the suit and it gets stuck?
Right. Well,
And-
the suit wasn't really a Federation device.
No, but well, maybe it's carrying a signal from the past, like you screwed up.
Right.
You're ruining the timeline, and we're using it as a distress signal because we know it can read back to her. But she said it should have destroyed itself, right?
Right. Yeah. That was the signal, was the suit would explode and that would let Spock know that Michael made it.
But did it?
Yeah. We don't know. They didn't
don't know.
do a cut shot showing
Right.
Spock seeing it. So we don't know. So yeah,
We don't know.
It's possible it could be the red suit.
Yeah, it could be. It could be an alternate dimension ship. I mean, if like I thought that Michael Burnham created the Burn because they named it after her,
Right.
And it could be. It's either something from the past or the suit from the past that they sent through this wormhole to tell her she's made a terrible mistake,
Right.
perhaps with this whole Burn thing, or I don't know. It just created a whole new timeline, and this ship from another timeline is trying to communicate with them.
Right.
Or sending a distress signal trying to get back to its own timeline because it's stuck
Right.
in the future. Or I even thought, well, maybe it's Terran. But they didn't have a Federation in the Terran universe, or did they? Yeah, they did. They were just evil.
Right.
Yeah, so maybe it's that, and they don't realize it's a Terran Federation ship. That's a little iffy,
Yeah.
but, at this point, why not?
Yeah. Yeah, there's all kinds of possibilities. It could be a ship from the Temporal War,
Yeah.
which would be pretty cool, and it could be just a regular, another starship, Starfleet ship that has gotten stuck, but it could send Giorgio back to the 23rd century.
Yeah.
So at least she won't fall apart. So that may end up being how we get Section 31 in the past.
Right. Well, we have to send you back so you don't die and you get your own series.
Right.
Boom. She's like, deal.
So we do have some feedback. As always, our friend Fred from the Netherlands has given us some feedback. So let's take a listen.
Hello, Steve and Dave. This is Fred from the Netherlands with some feedback for Star Trek Discovery Season 3, Episode 8. What did I like most about this episode? That was actually the interview in the Ready Room with Ian Alexander and Blue Del Barrio. This was not the best episode. Book's home planet with the fight with his brother, I didn't like that too much. I had a bit the impression of the last season of Killjoys, where the quality of the storytelling got less and less. And then that whole thing with that infestation on this planet by these beautiful floating plants or animals. And at the end, the two brothers were able to just convince them to go back to the sea just by their empathic powers? What the heck? And the Discovery had to boost that? Really? And are these two brothers the only two empaths on the planet? Couldn't they boost it with just more people? I found that all a little bit far-fetched. I also have some problems with Odessa. She is not really convincing. I mean, it's just in the acting or something like that. Doesn't really feel like a real threat. The whole thing about Giorgio is getting annoying. They can speed that up a little bit, but if we see the ready room and we also see scenes of next episode, we probably will get more insight into that next week. What I did like is the interaction between Tilly and the Andorian and Detmer. That was quite okay. Piloting Booker's ship and the way she did that and the success she had with it is probably very good for her self-esteem, something she probably really can use at the moment. Okay, I will stop my rant here and leave the positive feedback to others. Greetings, all the best, Fred from the Netherlands.
Fred sets a high bar.
Yes, he does.
Not the best.
No.
Yeah, I don't. You kind of alluded to it yourself. Like, what the heck? That's your solution. Why didn't they reach that a long time ago with everybody empathing together?
Right.
Well, maybe it needs a starship to do it. But I get what Fred's saying.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I think, like I thought that it was Frakes downscaling the episode a little bit without making it too cosmic, giving a little more humanity to everyone, but and then wrapping it up in a nice bow at the end. So I guess that's what Fred has a trouble with. I like that Fred wasn't impressed with Osira either, because neither was I. You know,
No.
she wasn't that threatening.
No, I mean, we've got the biggest BA in the universe on the ship. So 2
universes.
Yeah. So you gotta be there's a high standard for being a baddie here, and she didn't
that wasn't it.
Close to it.
Better nephew to a sandworm. Yeah, what else you got?
Yeah. So,
you know, it reminds me a little bit of The Wizard of Oz with the big green threatening face.
Yeah, I got that feel too.
And that was all a fraud. I wonder if there's some fraud behind her. Of course, any bully's a fraud anyway.
Right.
And as far as Giorgio and dragging that out, I guess they're dragging out because it's going to be a major plot point.
Yeah, they've got to have some way to get her to where she needs to be for her series, whether that's in the past or in the present. Right. There just got to be some way to do it. And so that's next week. We'll probably get more information on that. And I don't know what they're going to do with the burn. Are we going to go to the nebula?
They're going to go to Nebula. It'll be the suit, and they'll put the suit on
Giorgio and send her back.
Boom. Okay, everybody, you don't have to watch the episode now. I just figured it out.
But as always, Fred, we do appreciate your feedback. And let's hope next episode is more to your liking.
Yeah.
We also have some more feedback, this time from Jazz. So let's hear what she thought about the episode.
Hello, this is Jazz, and I have a review on Season 3, Episode 7. I thought it was great that the doctor showed genuine concern for Giorgio's brain issues, and my first favorite line of the episode was that brain issues start off small. It's, what was I looking for again? Where'd I bury that last body? And he wasn't taking any of her crap. And I love that First Officer Tilly had the awesome idea of taking a separate ship with the best pilot who gone rogue, hint hint, and kicking ass and taking names. I give props to Ren for being able to get approval from Grudge and hold on to a cat while going in a dogfight. So props for both of them for that. Very well done. I enjoyed it all. I think thoroughly that the series is enjoyable to watch. It keeps me very engaged, no pun intended. And I think it's very solid writing. And I find it all very enjoyable and the time flies by. And I thought this particular episode was great to have all the other characters get a chance to shine. I thought it was interesting that the lullaby goes everywhere since the burn seemed to go everywhere. So everybody essentially knew the lullaby. Maybe it's like a subliminal suggestion. The ship that's inside the nebula could be her mom's ship. Maybe there was a ship that came with her when she went and did her red suit duties. And that ship is stuck. Maybe it's called the Tasha Yar or the Second Nog or the Janeway or the Data or something like that. So I'm sure we'll find once the algorithm is complete. And let's see, I love that they had a she, they, them chat, and that it was just a small part of the episode, not a big deal, but yet was, and was accepted. All right, no problem. Very easily. I like that a lot. It's nice to see Stamets be a friend and proud of Adira's work. I would think it would be very hard to work and compete with somebody who had 4 lifetimes at their disposal to work on things, because that's an awful lot of knowledge that you have to sort through in your head. I love that they've asked for permission to help Book's world and not just go off on their own. And they said, okay, great, you're observing, it's all good. And Book was saying, no, you've already met the family, you've met Grudge. And she's like, oh, and I enjoy every minute, which I thought was adorable. Because, if you get the love of the cat, that's actually high marks. Or dog for that matter, but he has a cat. And see, I had no sympathy for Tordor being dinner to a transworm and dismembered. I think maybe the catchphrase Saru could use could be proceed, because I could see him saying that with gusto or no gusto, and it would still fit with his personality, because just hit it wasn't hitting it for him. And props to Ren giving a thumbs up, supporting our Detmer pilot, saying, yes, he did an awesome job once he got Grudge settled, and we went manual and kicked ass. So I thoroughly enjoyed it all. That's about it. You guys probably talked already about all the funny one-liners and jokes. I think that Giorgio actually is scared to death, but the way that she shows it is by pushing people away, sort of like a test to see if you'll come back. So I'm sure she is frightened, and I would think that the guy who originally chatted with her, I think, put something on her Starfleet emblem, because they swapped that back and forth, and maybe it was like blowfish toxin or something that you can't see or feel, and that might have seeped into her system and caused her all these issues, which she had not had up until this point. So it would not surprise me at all if he just used her as a laboratory rat to see this. I think this is what this will happen. Let's find out. He doesn't strike me as a nice guy. It's the guy with the white hair. So anyways, hopefully we'll have a somewhat happy ending for that. I did see the previews where she was walking along the snow trampled areas. So hopefully that will work out well for her. I think Tully is doing an awesome job until they find a more permanent solution. I thought it was cool that I was right, because he developed a rapport with her. It's a lot easier to work with somebody who gets along well with others than to work with somebody who has a huge ego and smarts in some areas, but not others. Sometimes that makes it more of a challenge and an annoyance than a help, which is really what the first officer is supposed to be. A help to the captain, not a I can't believe you did that kind of person. So anyways, I look forward to the next episode. Enjoy the podcast as always, and hello to everybody near and far. Thanks.
Thank you, Jazz, for that fantastic feedback.
Good tinfoil hat theories, too.
Oh, absolutely. And
of course,
it was really nice to see both Culber and Stamets and Detmer get some much-needed screen time and, really shined. I could watch Culber and Giorgio dance around each other for hours. That'd be just so great.
They should send those two to a holodeck with some batlets.
Yeah.
You kids have fun.
Yeah. And I think that Tilly is exactly the first officer that Saru needs right now, at least. And I think she's going to do a fine job as long as she doesn't have to leave the ship.
I know. She gets a little unsure, and you don't want, she'll stutter, and you don't really want that if she's in a tough spot. Of course, it's going to happen, though. She's going to be put on her own. She'll get the big test.
Yeah.
But, she passed a mini test when she told Rin to stand down.
Right.
I like Jazz's take on Michael's reaction, too. That, again, we spoke of Jonathan Frakes adding humanity to every character. And I know it's the same thing that Jazz did, too, that her big smile and acting with Cook. Cook. Yeah. Fun, Cook. We found a job for you on this ship. What? I'm not going to run the library. I'm going to be working in the cafeteria.
Right. Well, thanks a lot, Jazz, for that great feedback, and looking forward to hearing from you again. We'd love to hear your thoughts on each and every episode this season and looking forward to interacting on social media with all the great fans. How can the fans interact with us, Dave?
They can go to www.fangirlzone.com and click on the contact link where you'll find several ways to contact us via email or through social media. On Twitter, he's at Sawyer Steve and I'm at The Real ID Dave.
Please review and rate us on iTunes and every other platform you're listening to us on, as good ratings and reviews help other fans of the show find us, as there are a lot of Star Trek Discovery podcasts out there. Tell your friends, and we do hope you're enjoying our podcast. And don't forget to check out the other great Fangirl Zone podcast.
The 9th episode is on December 10th. How did they do that? And it is titled Terra Firma Part 1. So until then, remember,
this is Chief Engineer Steve. If you face something, you can beat it.
And this is Red Shirt Dave. And like Giorgio, I'm off to my very own gel exam, complete with joysticks.